Absolutely. And here we go. Welcome to Arts and Antiques. No, I am not your chantress, Elizabeth Stewart, talking about all the wonderful things that she talks about. I'm Reverend Dr. D. Richard Dugan, and I'm filling in. I'm guest hosting for her. And we're going to be talking about something I think you're going to really enjoy. I seriously, you need to stay tuned because we're going to talk about, well, one thing is confidence in motion, and we're going to be talking with our very special guest. And I've had a chance to chat with her a little bit and enjoy what she has to offer. Ruth, and that last name once again is Wishengrad.
You got it. You
Oh
got it.
boy. See, I will tell you and Elizabeth's audience that I really do work hard to make sure that I get my guests' names, or if I am sitting in the guest's name, to me it's the height of disrespect when you don't get that name right. The first name or the last name. Wishengrad is the last name. And you have something very, very interesting. You do have a book, both a reading book and a workbook, a coloring book, I should say. And I had trouble with coloring books because I had a lot of trouble staying inside the lines. So now I do my own drawings and I make my own lines.
Nice.
It's really
Nice.
nice to have you here.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
So you have ostensibly you have a journal that we're going to be talking about today. And I'm going to start out by asking you, why is journaling so important for us? And I'm going to put this vernacular on it in this day and age, especially now with everything that's going on and the social media. Oh, and let me guess, you don't want to journal online. It would be best if you could handwrite it.
Handwriting is the best because it really gets into the body and the mind and the spirit from that. There is some kind of connection when you actually physically write as opposed to type. Obviously, those people who can't physically write, the typing is okay, but the physical writing is there's a connection to your body. It's all connected, as the song says, the hip bone's connected to so everything's connected. Everything's connected.
You got it. Well, I'm going to change that just because I can. What am I changing? Oh, well, if you were watching the YouTube video, you'd see that I changed my background. I've got the sun coming up over the earth. And I think that's somewhat apropos because when we start journaling, and actually, this even ties into something else that I was suggested to do. It was actually last summer where I had all these things going on in my head. I got to do this, and I got to
Mhm.
do this, and I got to do this, and I got to do this. And they said, write it down, make a list. So I got one of those big 8.5 by 11 white paper books from the art supply store there in Santa Barbara. And I wrote down like 13 or 14 things. And I've already been able to cross some of those off. But the point that they were making was, if you put it down on paper, you're not carrying it up here in your head. You've let it go. It isn't,
Exactly.
doesn't mean it's not important. It just means, in one sense, now you have more room for something else.
Well,
Tell me it's the same thing.
I have a whole story about that, which is kind of how this all came to be.
Mm-hmm.
Ready for it?
Yes, please.
Okay, so have you ever gotten a song stuck in your head?
Oh my God, yes.
Right. So I used to get songs stuck in my head during the day, and that was fine. And okay, sometimes they were going over and over again. It's when they started to come to me in the middle of the night that I started to take notice, and I started to go, "What the heck is going?" It would keep me up all night long because I'd have to. I what I finally figured out was that it was wanting to remind me of something or wanted to clue me into something. So I finally, after years, thought, what if I write this down in the middle of the night? Even my chicken scratching in the middle of the night, sometimes I woke up and I wouldn't be able to read my writing, but it was, once I wrote it down, I could go back to sleep. And then I'd wake up in the morning and I would see the chicken scratches and I would say, okay, what did I write? The scribbles. And I'd say, I'd Google it. I'd Google the rest of the lyrics. And 9 times out of 10, it was a message I needed to hear. And it was amazing because it was guiding me towards a solution or something that would help me feel better about myself. So I got to thinking about this and I was like, what if I got my own songs stuck in my head, songs that made me feel good and that helped guide me to where I wanted to go? And that's when I created, or it created through me, the Confidence in Motion album. And there were songs, each one of them had their own message to me, and not just to me, they became universal to others. And you asked earlier why now more than ever for journaling and for maybe singing to yourself is
Sure.
because it is a way to anchor yourself into what you want and how you want to feel, as opposed to the that's going on. And I was pulling my hair out for those viewers who couldn't see me. I know.
Folks,
So,
I have no hair to pull out. Well, I do on my face, but I would never do that. It would really, really hurt. you know, um, I am both an author as well as a songwriter. However, I've really only written two songs. No, I take that back. Three. Um, there were lyrics to a song that I finally found after like 20 years.
mhm,
However, I wrote them back in the 90s. Early 90s. I was going through a personal growth program, and I was paired up with this young gal who lives out in the Aran Islands off of the coast of Portugal. I think it is, isn't it? Yeah.
okay.
And I wrote this. I wrote the lyrics and I typed them up on an IBM Selectric that I had at the time
Mhm,
back in the 90s. And somehow it disappeared. And as we were in the process of moving and packing and everything, it showed up. And I actually had let it go. I said, "Don't freak out. It's here. You didn't throw it away. It will show." And it finally showed up. Then there was a song that I wrote with a friend. Her name is Emily Yurchison. She calls herself the Songbird. And she helped me to write, "I'm a good man doing the best I can." And then about maybe a year or so before my father's passing, I wrote a song about and to him, although he never heard it because I never finished it until after his passing, but I did share it at the memorial. And it's just basically, I'm not even sure there's a title, but it's just Daddy. Um, I wouldn't be the man I am if you hadn't been there.
mhm.
And those three songs that I have right now are very personal, obviously, or at least the first one being the lyrics. But one of the things I've noticed about very um, noticed and listened to very popular artists,
Mhm.
like for me, there's John Denver and Harry Chapin and so forth. That's my era in the 70s. But Adele, for example, I remember when I was introduced to her. Oh, and Sarah McLachlan, too, another one. I was introduced to Lilith. I actually went to Lilith Fair in Phoenix, okay?
Great, great.
But when they write a song from the heart about something, okay, I'll throw Taylor Swift in there too. Okay. She sometimes does it to get back at these people, but same kind of thing, right? It it's cathartic, right? So
Mhm.
journaling or songwriting, and you've got some songs that are fun. We'll talk about that as well. But there's a certain aspect of it being cathartic that it's like your therapy, like these programs that I host. My program, Tell Me Your Story.
Mhm.
It's therapy, right?
Right.
Journaling is therapy.
Journaling is therapy. It improves your mental health. It gets it out so that you're not holding on to it. Just like that list of yours, that if you write it down, then you don't have to keep remembering it. And my in the middle of the night thing, journaling is this opportunity to take away the whether it's angst, whether it's joy, whatever it is, to get it out on paper and to remove it from having to remember it over and over again, or just to be able to express it. So it boosts creativity, it helps improve your writing skills, and it enhances communication skills. So the more that you communicate in your journal, the more you're able to like have ways to be able to communicate to others. And one of the things that is really powerful about this journal, and is, to have, to get it for yourself and for your child, or grandparent to grandchild or whatnot. Because if you both fill it out, then there's a bonding of sharing that information and sharing and you get deepening to like understand how people think and how they're thinking, and yeah, a much deeper connection.
Now, what's really funny is when I wrote my book, Choices 5 Steps for Life, I was very
Hmm.
excited when I got my copy in the mail. And that's always kind of fun, right?
Right.
That must have been an exciting, that must have created a song for you.
um, yeah, I mean, well, the name of the journal is called I Got This. So when it came in the mail, is I got this. Yeah. So it just brings it to life.
Yeah. And then, of course, you have that coloring book that goes along with it, right?
Right. So the coloring book actually was created uh, 3 years before that, and there are pages, and I happen to just open up to the I got this page.
Oh, wow.
So there are pages like that, but then at the back of the journal are activities, and there are crosswords and fill in word searches and different kinds of things like that. All again, all of the lyrics are present. You'll find the lyrics to the songs in the coloring books, and you'll find the lyrics um, in each chapter of the journal. So that each chapter was inspired by a different song.
Have you researched at all the science behind what you're talking about in terms of the benefits? You have the peer-reviewed studies and all of that good stuff that really says yes, journaling has great benefits. Similar to, and this is what I've been thinking of. I was interviewing a Swami with the Self Inquiry Life Fellowship, Swami Vididishananda. He was sharing with me about how in England, in London, England, in the schools,
Hmm.
they are teaching the children, the young people, how to, they're teaching them Sanskrit, not for the
Wow.
purposes of resurrecting the language, but because there's also scientific evidence that shows that by learning another language, and in this case, this ancient language of Sanskrit, it rewires the synapses in the brain for better processing and so on and so forth. It's kind of like running defrag on your computer's hard drive,
Hmm.
putting the files back and everything, and then optimizing your system. Do you have is that something? I know that's not something you probably go into too deeply, but I'm curious as to the science behind all of this.
So I absolutely. um, so a lot of these songs came to me, and to help me through some personal transitions and things like that. And then I did a deep dive to say, well, this is helping me. I wonder if it could help others. And I went and looked for the science and went and looked for the research, and I found a lot of research that talked about the songs. Now, I then applied what I've learned of that to then wanting to expand the resources so that you've got the songs, but you also have those same messages, and put those same messages into the journal for writing. And yes, I even have some resources that are the top 10 science-backed ways to rewire the brain, and that relate to this confidence in motion collection, because what it's doing, music strengthens the brain's pathways. That's the
Mhm.
first one. And repetition strengthens neural connections. The more you repeat, the more you get it into your body. And actually, that brings me to a story that I could share about one of the songs.
Please.
So one of the songs is called Confidence. And that song came to me after a first song that I wrote. I wanted to get that out to the world, and then I just didn't feel like I could do it, and I felt like I needed confidence to be able to do that. Well, I created this whole thing, and a friend of mine who was 90 years old, I asked her if and she loved all of my songs. She absolutely loved everything. And back in the day, I even had a DVD of me singing and dancing and moving around, because when you cross the center line and you move with the song, it also deepens that connection. So I invited her. She said she would love to tell me something, but she didn't have any specific story. So I invited her to listen to the song for 2 months every morning. That's it. Just those three songs. Listen to them and juice up the energy and feel good. At 2 months and 2 days later, I got a text from my 90-year young friend. Her name is Ginny, and she said, "Have I got a story for you? Please come visit me at the rehab center. I just fell and fractured my hip." So I went to visit her, and she told me this story that just was amazing. I mean, the story speaks for itself. She said she had fallen in the middle of the night, and 90 years old, she was in excruciating pain. The phone was 6.5 feet away, although it felt like 10 miles away. And she said, I'm done. I'm in so much pain. I can't do anything. Oh, well, my mistake. And then she heard my song in her head. And to the rhythm of my voice and the beat of the music in her head, she was able to move herself an inch.
Mm.
And then she stopped and rested and panted like she was having a baby, and she'd had 11 children, so she knew what that feeling was. and and then the song came back again. Inch by inch, Richard, she made it to her phone. It took her 2 hours. Her complete She said it was like a flow of energy. She completely changed, and she was not in that pain while she was going through all of this. She was focused, and the song brought her through.
Mm. It goes to show the tenacity in one
Mhm.
sense, all right? And the level of commitment to doing so. I mean, all right, she was in distress, but it's the same principle. It's absolutely the same principle. And yeah, that was one of the things that I've talked with some people about, especially in terms of what my wife and I have been through over the last 6 months,
Mhm.
where we lost our dog and we got evicted from our home, and we found a new home and bought a house and moved. And the first time we moved from Phoenix to Santa Barbara, we had people come and do it for us. And now we did the packing, but they loaded the truck and they drove
Mhm.
the stuff over. Da da da. This was self moving,
Mhm.
self packing, self loading, and on and on. And oh my God, I didn't think it was ever going to end. I mean, it took on a life of its own, you know.
Sure.
But the question is not so much how badly do you want to get out by the deadline the landlord has set. No, I didn't care because my wife was concerned about us being homeless. I said, not going to happen. I said, we aren't moving. Whether the landlord likes it or not, we're not moving until we have a place to go. Did we want to stay? Well, yeah, but not really. It was time for us to move on. And I said, so until we have a place to go, whether we're renting or buying, and buying really wasn't in my mind. That's another thing I'd love to talk to you about in terms of the universe and how it works when
Mhm.
you start journaling, when you start putting this stuff down on paper, and then you start to dream. It's like what I talk about in my book, Choices. The first step is you got to make a choice. All right,
Mhm.
whether you want to call it a dream or your imagination or whatever, it's still you're making a choice. So we had put it out to the universe that we needed to find a new place.
Right.
The universe said, all right, fine. And I went back to the chapter in my book about matching your words to your choice. And my first wife and I were buying a house. And that was the phrase that we used whenever stuff came up. But when my wife today and I were going through all of this, I don't know why exactly. Maybe it was just because everything got all lumped together, so many different things. I couldn't remember that when it was time, when the frustrations came. We're buying a
Right.
house. We're buying a house. We're not dealing with the escrow company. We're not fighting with the insurance company. We're buying a house. We're buying,
Right. But so
staying
that
focused.
right, but so that is actually when you're in that state of panic or whatever, when these songs or these concepts, when you write something down, they have an opportunity to, when you let them, when you can, when you're not going into a, so there are loops that repetitive loops of songs that you really don't want to listen to over and over again, or there are repetitive loops of songs you do want to hear, or thoughts you want to hear, right? So you like you said with the name of your book, choices. You have the choice to go with the ones that bring you up or the ones that bring you down, because we are gonna repeat things over and over again. It's our choice of what we choose to repeat.
Right. How did you come up with the idea for the journal as well as, of course, the coloring book, which I think is a great idea? And I just think that's a really cool combination to release so much stuff that you can then look at it. You'll read your journal and say, oh, like your dreams, like you were talking about your dreams that elicit other things. It's in terms of being inspired and so on and so forth. How'd this wonderful concept come about?
Well, so I'm actually a former elementary school teacher. And one of the things that kind of came to me is, when you've got something that's, like the songs or something that's out there, this more in the not written down field, you know,
Hmm.
um, then I'm a big proponent of finding different modalities to express the same thing. So I brought the songs into writing basically, and creativity, and being able to create around that, and um, and there's a real meditative thing. I mean, a lot of the drawings actually look a little mandala-ish, mandala-esque, right? So that there's that repetition around that when you see one phrase, I got this, or whatever phrase it is in the middle of the thing. And then you're looking at that phrase as you're coloring, and you're changing colors, and you're looking at things, and you're just getting into a meditative state around it. But it's keeping those quotes, or those thoughts, or those feelings present. And the journal was really a way to connect them even deeper. This is a way to write about it, to explore your feelings, to express your feelings in all kinds of different ways, and to just, like I said before, just get it out, because and then share it with others.
And that's probably a hard one to do sometimes for some folks because, they're very private about their lives and they don't want all kinds of people knowing their business, that kind of thing.
Right. Well, I wouldn't suggest that this is only a sharing with close family members or close friends or that kind of thing where you could do that. Otherwise, it's meant to really be for yourself. But so there are different pages in there. Uh, Write three things you can say to yourself when you feel down. For example, I got this, or it's not great yet, right? So that there are, and then it's draw a fun new dance move that makes you laugh, and give it a funny name like the smile spinner or the happy hop, so that there are different prompts to give you that, something to explore, right? About yourself that maybe you never ever thought of, and it's a way to do that.
Absolutely. We're talking here today, here on Arts and Antiques with yours truly, your guest host, Reverend Dr. D, with Ruth Wishinger, Wishengrand, and we're talking about her book, her journal, which is very cool, as well as the coloring book. What website do we want to send people to? And I know there are a couple that we could mention, but you have something special you'd like to give the folks.
Yes, yes. So, I would love to offer you a free song that is the theme song for the journal and the coloring book, and it's called "I Got This." And actually, we have a sample. We have actually the whole song. If you wanted to play parts of it, Richard, you're
We're going to hear that as
do
we
that.
go in and out of our segments. So
Okay.
yes, they will be able to hear parts of it. Absolutely.
Yeah, and so then, so the website would be upbeatsmedia.com/free song, all one word.
Cool.
Then you could
That,
get
that,
a free
that
song.
yeah. There's something interesting too. I myself, I have a problem with this whole business with the copywriting stuff. Um, in the Old Testament, it says that there is nothing new under the sun. Okay, nothing. So how can you claim to own whatever it is you claim to own when other people are using bits and pieces of it and you claim they're infringing on your whatever? Because there's nothing new under the sun. You got that riff that you're claiming the other band stole. You got that riff from someone, somewhere. You were influenced, and you'd like to think that maybe that one that you was influenced by you is actually happy and flattered that they inspired you to write this song with that little riff in there. They're not going to sue you because that's kind of the point of the music. And that so that I get really perplexed by that whole thing. Words. So what you're telling me is that Webster could sue all of us because all of the words that we use are in his book. If you you want to, I mean, he's
Right,
not the
right, right.
originator of the language per se, but you see what I'm saying? I
Sure.
find that so funny. So when people start to sing your songs, I mean, you've heard the controversy over Happy Birthday, right?
I'm not
Now,
sure. I decided to do a new happy birthday song, so there's a new happy
oh,
birthday song too.
excellent. Excellent. No, that's great because the problem is that people claim that they own this and that they own that. And you don't own anything. For
Well,
example,
and my
farmers do not. Here's a great Irish line, and I'll let you share. You do not own the land. The
right,
land owns you.
right.
So please go ahead.
I was just going to say, I don't feel like Ruth Wishengrad necessarily wrote these songs. I feel like I was inspired. These songs came through me,
Mhm.
and I am the conduit to come out and to share these with others. I think that to hear that the song Confidence actually was life changing for someone. I don't feel like I set out to do that. I feel like it was a blessing and a gift that and the other stories that I hear about this song and everything like that, I just feel like I'm the conduit. I'm the one who is, and I have to I have to do this. It's like if I don't do this, there are people who aren't going to benefit from it, and that is my passion.
Mm.
And so I think that that creative piece, and I can't even explain to you why. Um, and I know that um, it's it's why I'm here. It's why I'm here to do this.
Your
I
life's
also,
purpose.
yeah, it is. And I'm, as I said before, I'm a former elementary school teacher, and I got a master's in education, and I was working also at a publishing company. So when these songs came through me and I started seeing the benefits that it was doing for me and some other people around me, I put on my teacher hat, I put on my curriculum development hat, and I created an entire curriculum around it that is correlated to the national physical education standards as well as the social emotional core competencies, social
You know.
emotional learning core competencies. So
Hmm.
there is. and it's fun. It's not like, as a teacher, when I knew that there was always so many things. Oh, it's one more thing, but this is not just one more thing. This is actually the thing that you can do in between,
Hmm.
in between class, in between teachings and such
Hmm.
like that, or walking to recess or something like that. It's a way to incorporate things and get it into the body. When you get these songs into the body, it makes change. When you get these affirmations and the principles of feeling good and being able to write about it and getting it's all the different modalities. It's the singing, it's the moving, it's the writing. It's all connected, and the more you do that, the more they stay connected into your body.
Very cool. Very cool indeed. And we encourage people to go to that website and find out more about what you are offering them. I think that it's a lot of fun. I'm actually looking at at your website of upbeatsmedia.com. And of course, you said slash free, correct? Slash
Free
free?
song, free song.
Free song
Yeah.
slash free song. And folks, when we as we go to break, you're going to hear that song. We're going to play it, and hopefully some other things as well that you'll really enjoy as well that she has created. And we hope that you'll go there and find out more about our very special guest Ruth Wishengrad, and we are going to be back with more here on the Arts and Antiques radio program with your guest host, Reverend Dr. D and Ruth Wishengrad here on Arts and Antiques. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the program that you listen to on Fridays at 10 a.m. And then she's back here at 8 o'clock on Friday evening, and then Sunday at 11, I believe it is, with the Arts and Antiques radio program. It's Elizabeth Stewart. She's on assignment of sorts and asked me to fill in, and I'm always happy to fill in on this program because it's a lot of fun. It really is a lot of fun to um, talk to some of the people that she talks to. And sometimes when she's in the middle of an interview, I want to jump in and ask a question, which of certainly she has opened that door for me. However, I don't want to interrupt the flow, you know? So this is a great opportunity. Is this your first set of books? And again, the book journal and then the coloring book.
I have a curriculum that I created, and yes, otherwise for the little pieces, these are the resources. Yes, the coloring book and then the journal came next.
That's very cool. Um, I ran into an interesting process when I published mine. I'm self-published
Okay.
through Amazon.
Yeah. One.
And I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. The coloring book is self-published through Amazon, and the journal is both on Amazon, but it's also published through Ingram Spark. So that means it can go. It goes. I have bookstores that are purchasing it, and it's going right to the bookstores.
Well, that's very cool. It really is. My issue was, I don't know if you ran into this. All right, I've got it done. I've run spell check. I've had somebody proof it. Blah 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 blah. Okay, away we go. And then I find something I missed. Now, with doing it self publishing, I can go up to kdp.com and I can go ahead and I can adjust the manuscript, and then I can re upload it and publish it again. And it's like, and I was doing that, and someone said, you know, you need to write down the changes that you want to make and put that as part of your second edition and not keep changing. Did
Mm-hmm.
you run into that as you wrote, or did you have? I mean, being a school teacher, you probably had an outline. You had it all mapped out to where once you had it written, you were done. You did all the preliminaries, the spell check and the grammar check and blah blah blah, and then published.
Well, okay, so you want to hear my little secret?
Yeah, I I am very curious.
I'm an editor, remember? So when you go to see something, and if when I get the opportunity to take a break from it for a week or a couple of days or a week, I see something different every time I go back.
Oh,
So it does take a little bit of, massaging and creating. And there were things that I thought, oh, I could add another chapter, and oh, I could do this and add another thing. I I've learned because my editor and you can go on and on and on and on. You have to find a stopping place. So like your friends were saying to you, go on to a second edition or even a second book, you know? So yes, that is definitely, see, I think we as humans want to make it right, want to make it perfect, and feel like if we don't fix that little comma or fix that 5 words that should have said this instead of that, then we're not perfect and nobody's going to enjoy it, or they're going to get confused, or whatever the reasoning that we're coming up with in our head. So yeah, there's definitely a perfectionist quality to that, and there's also a sometimes you just gotta it done is good enough.
yeah, that's a hard one, and I know that
It is a hard
Elizabeth,
one.
yeah, loves to tell the story, a conversation she was having on air with an artist, a painter
Hmm.
who teaches, and she asked him, she says, how do you know when to stop? In other
Right.
words, and she used the analogy of so that the students don't start. They're making painting clouds. They're drawing or painting clouds, and all of a sudden it starts to become a brown potato. How do you stop the process so that it doesn't become? And so it's the same thing here. Yeah, and I guess it's a double-edged sword being that perfectionist, because on the one hand you see things and you want to make them adjustments, make those adjustments and everything. But I heard from one of the publishers, or not publishers, I beg your pardon, PR firms that I deal with for
Hmm.
guests, and they are usually authors that I'm interviewing. And I was sharing my story about writing my book, and she says, "I want to tell you something. Some of the greatest authors on the planet have released their book, and people have found typos and grammatical errors and on and on. And the incredibly high level authors, they have all this staff. So if you've got 500 pages,
Hmm.
you're not gonna the editor, and the grammarian and so on and so on. They will catch most everything, but they're still gonna miss some stuff.
Well, there's a reason for that. So I'm in the middle of some other editing projects, and what happens is books, not so much this kind of book. I also do educational publishing. Um, you're not the only you yourself are not the only hands on it. And I mean, when you're self-publishing, you are, but sometimes those typos get come into play when the typesetter or this thing happens, or they're formatting this and some things happen. You can't even understand it. Like they just show up. It is one of those things.
I think it's I think it's the aliens that are somehow intelligent. I have to wonder, and here's now I'm going to give away this idea. I would love to be able to have credit for it, but oh well. I wonder if anybody has ever written a book intentionally screwing up typos and grammar and so forth, and maybe put the book out there to see if people catch it.
Well, that's a really good point. However, and I have something that I could kind of piggyback on that. I actually teach, when I was teaching, I would teach my students how to make mistakes. And because
Wow.
think about it. Making mistakes. When you used to make a mistake when you were a kid, did you feel good about it?
No.
No. Right. So I actually help kids, and in the journal, we talk about celebrating your mistakes. Because what are mistakes? They're just learning. They're ways for us to learn the next time what to do to improve the next time. They're not saying, I mean, think about this, all the mistakes that Edison made before making the light bulb,
Mm-hmm.
that was data. He wasn't considering that as a mistake. I'm a terrible, horrible person. No, he was using that as data to keep moving him forward.
Yeah. You know, in my program, we talk an awful lot about the ancient wisdom teachings and those constructs. And um, for me, and again, when I share my perspective, it's mine. Okay, I'm
Sure.
not putting it on anybody else. I believe that we'll use the word mistakes. They are two things. They are life lessons and, as you've already described, learning experiences.
Hmm.
They are not negative. They are not bad. They're extremely important. As a matter of fact, I even asked someone about that. I said, but it was in the context of success and failure.
Hmm.
I said, which is more important and why? And they said failure. Because it's
Absolutely.
only through failure that you learn
How to grow.
how to grow. And that's what you're helping to teach. That's what you're wanting people to do, right? Is that
Right.
you want to help them to grow.
Right. And the journal and the coloring book and the songs and all of those are based on a growth mindset. And
Mm,
a growth mindset is, okay, I made a mistake. Well, I don't know how to do that yet.
mm,
And the power of yet is a huge, I mean, it's like it's the word that kind of is like the saving word, right? It's a saving grace word. You might say, I can't do this. What if you said, I can't do this yet? Does that empower you or does it make you feel less than?
yeah,
It
really.
could make you feel less than to say, I can't do this. However, I can't do this yet. That lifts you up. There's hope.
Hmm.
There's connection. There's growth. There's and we are not in a I mean, there are people who are in a fixed mindset, and I believe that when we understand the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset, it's a big game changer. And
Huge.
that's what ended up happening to me when I moved out here to California. I'm originally from the East Coast and moved out here, and I learned all about the growth mindset and all of this kind of stuff. And that just opened doors for me.
Ruth Wishengrand is my guest, and you are listening to the Arts and Antiques radio program. I am guest hosting today, talking with Ruth about the work that she's doing through her journal and a coloring book as well. And you can get a free song. Yes, you can. Free song by going to upbeatsmedia.com/free song. And we hope that you'll go there and check that out as well. And check out the website. I think it'll be a lot of fun. There's even I was looking at the one link that I received on confidence, and it's really very cool. Stay tuned, folks. We've got more coming your way. Wrapping things up here in just a moment. This is the Arts and Antiques radio program with, well, Elizabeth Stewart, who's on assignment, and it's Reverend Dr. D here talking with Ruth Wishengrand and
Brad.
Wishengrad. By the way, that name, last name, seems to fit considering that you're an instructor, you're a teacher, if you will, because you've got part of the whole process of education is the wishing and hoping and dreaming and so forth and creating all that stuff, and then the whole grad part. Hopefully, we can graduate someday to move on to other things, and it's really been a pleasure to have you here on the program. Is there a shall we say a final little message that you'd like to leave with the listeners?
Oh, so much. I well, I guess I would say that, it it starts with you. It starts with you giving yourself a chance. I like to say that you can spiral down with thoughts that don't support you, or you can spiral up. So, what if? What if things could be amazing?
Well, thank you so much for allowing me to sit in for Elizabeth and chat with you here on the program. And I hope that you will, I will extend an invitation to you to be on my program. Tell
Oh,
me your
terrific.
story, New Paradigms for a New World. I'd love to chat with you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much. And thank you, folks, for listening in to the program Arts and Antiques with yours truly, Reverend Dr. D. Richard Dugan, guest hosting for Elizabeth. And well, what the heck? I'll go ahead and leave you with my moniker at the end of my program. Love Talal. Jeanette, I'm still listening. Dad, thanks for continue to be happy because I am. Smokey, I'll see you on the other side. Mike, thanks for being in my life and letting me be in yours. And to my dear friend Zorro, aho, aho.